Hello everybody, I'm back working on my bases. So these are the Demon World bases I sculpted and cast for my other project, Hobbies. So they'll be going in the store once the whole set is completed. So these are all the heroics right now, which are the bigger ones, and then I'll be doing the other ones next week in the issue. So next week should be the basically release on my store of these guys. So last time we were continuing, we finished the we ended the stream doing some washes, so we're gonna do some more washes. Try and make this look a little more unearthly. So I'm gonna play around with that. So let's see. Try some turquoise. This is a private press paint. I've never used. I just bought it, so I've never used it before. It's an ink, so it's very vibrant. I might have to tone it down a bit, like I did with the green before. I'll cut it with some kind of brown. Alright, so let's cut it with some flush washes. Let's try some Caspian. Okay, so it's quite green. Maybe it would change itself, but it feels very similar to the other green ink I was using. So let's see what it looks like when it's applied to something. Yeah, isn't that much of a difference, unfortunately. So might have to not use that one right now. Okay, well, I've also got a few other new paints. Let's try. Where did I get that one? I think I had a. I thought I had a purple one. Let me see. Let's do a blue. I'm just going to tone it down with some of that same brown. This really helps it because it's way too saturated. I don't want it that saturated. Let's try a higher consistency this time, less mix and medium. See if that'll make it look a little better. Alright. I'll have to use a lot less though. Let's try here. Just gotta make sure it doesn't pool funny. Not too bad. Yeah, actually, I like this. Not as. Doesn't seem kind of like pooling effects like the other ones did if I do it so thin. Because it's a little splotchy, but it's also because there's some rock imperfections in there, so it's probably pooling in those little divots that I gave the thing. Okay. Not everything needs a bit of blue on it. Blue in there. Just a hint. I actually quite like it with less mixed medium, because I have to put less on, and so it doesn't pool as much in the in the creases, so it's actually not bad. More controllable this way. Alright. So not every one of these bases is going to get the same colors. Try to make it more random. Make sure there's no hard edges when you're doing that. Makes it look chunky a bit if you have any hard edges between the inks on the borders, guys. I have a red ink around here. There we go. Actually, let's try the orange. I've never actually used this orange before, so let's try with straight. No mixing medium at all. Just play around. It might be a little too much. Oh wow, it's strong. I mean, I like it, but Jesus, that is. It might be a bit too much. This is blazing ink. Quite interesting. Kind of like it actually. Though it's ridiculously strong. Wow. Okay. Let's try. So less this time. Let's do very. Okay. Ridiculously strong, I gotta say. Definitely an ink. Okay. So let's try the red now. I'm gonna maybe just try straight red this actually. I'm liking so much. Though it might be cut a little bit very vibrant. I'll just try straight, because that is. Let's try on this tongue. It's not too bad actually. Just gotta do very small amounts. It does seem to pool a little differently than the orange ink. Makes it look much more like a tongue now, doesn't it, with a bit of pink added to it. Let's keep it like that. Overflowed into the green a bit, so it kind of blends there. It gives it a brown between color combinations. Okay. Very thin amount. Let it pool a little bit in the recesses, but not too much. That's actually quite good. Almost like a weird pink appendage, like a sore thumb or something. It makes it look more interesting. Very chaotic and twisted with all these colors. I'll have to do some more highlighting, I think, afterwards. Bring back some of that gray. Nice. Make it look like it's unnatural rock. It's organic looking stuff. This is just straight ink. Just trying to add some hues to the rock. Man, I probably could have done a better job of trying to combine the colors. Like the red and the brown kind of work great together, but the red and the green don't really work well together as a transition. So. Gotta make the tongues red though. Okay. There we go. Might be able to change it, increase the saturation a bit on the camera. It's a little hard to tell if you're getting the full saturation from doing. Okay. Let's try a orange to red transition. Let's do it very light. It's not bad, but maybe needs a bit, go back over a bit with the gray again, just to blend it all together. It's a little too much. I like it deeper in the recesses, not so much in the raised areas. Also, I don't like the fact that I'm just doing like solid bands. I should probably make it a little more, like have less clear transitions basically. So I want this to look creepy and not very like normal, right? The demon world. I want to make it look more alien. So, try and improve my illusion. And they're looking more creepy and twisty. And less Dr. Zeusy, I guess. Dr. Zeus is not creepy. The exact opposite of creepy, really. Looks a little like candy almost. Let's try. I swear I had a purple ink. Now I can't seem to find it. Oh, here it is. This is Piggy Purple Ink. Let's see. Yeah, it's a way too high saturation though. I'm gonna try and work it with some Caspian flesh. Let's see. Let's try. I've lost a lot of its purple because of the Caspian. I'll add a bit more purple to it. Let's turn it almost a brownish, burgundy kind of color. A lot of experimentation with all these inks, I think. Yeah, let's get this purple. There we go. These inks are very overpowering, so they do like a 2-to-1 ratio almost, or more. Oh, that's much better. A little deeper. tongue is probably very purple right now. Okay. Make sure it doesn't pool funny. Okay. So let's do maybe another little bit of purple so it's less of a transition. A straight transition. Let's see. Put the purple in more in like the recesses in some parts. Just for some areas anyway. There we go. I'm liking that. It looks like a Jolly Rancher though, I gotta say this one. Alright, let's try. Okay. So I could probably go back, maybe do a little more orange. I really like that color. Okay. Didn't need anything to it really. Let's do a bit of orange on the underside of this one. Definitely don't need much. Okay. The orange on this guy's lips. I think it's scurvy to get like yellow lips. Anyway. What else? What else needs a bit of orange? So these ones actually don't need any colors, not yet anyway. Put more orange on the bottom here. If I'm not too careful, I add too many colors and to turn it brown at the end. Okay. Let's do a bit of this blue. It kind of pools a bit more when you have the mixed medium. So I'm trying to no mixed medium and just try to saturate the area. Okay, I went way too off. I'm overpainting way too much. Don't let it pool for me. It's harder to fix. Okay. What else wants to get more blue? It's a little creepier. Alright. Try to make it look a little less even, the colors. Oops. There we break up some bigger patches of colors. I'm gonna put some darker areas with some blue to exaggerate the depth. Let's try this. Oops. Should not have started on the top like that. Go to the bottom and work your way up. Not a good way to start it. Okay. Looking a bit more dreamlike. Let's do some more red, maybe? I guess it's more brown wash. Let's try, I have just straight flesh wash I bought. Not a Caspian or a Cossite, it's just straight flesh. So let's try this one. Let's do it in a spot where I have a lot of gray left. This guy. Let's try it here. It's pretty brown. Not as saturated as some other colors, but it's also just a flesh wash. That pool's funny, so gotta be careful. It's looking a little candyish, I gotta say. Okay. Do a bit more brown, just spread it around. Break up some of these more even chunks of color. Like this. This is basically an experiment. I've never really done like rock like this before, so this is not exactly how I wanted it to turn out, but I'm gonna do a bunch more steps to try and fix it. It's looking interesting. Not quite how I envisioned it, but it's definitely interesting. I really like that pink. I did the twirl, pinky twirl here, but the other colors are a little too something. I don't know. Not great. I'm gonna add some more colors to like this, like the bone I've done. Let's do a touch of green in some areas. Just a touch. Because I've been doing a little bit of practicing on the other colors. Let's see. Maybe on the tail, and make the tail a bit green, and then taper it off. Yeah, it's not too bad. I actually like that. Much more subtle. try a bit of pink now. Or red, whatever. Becomes pink when you add the, you do it really thin on a white surface. Very small now. Maybe. There's more skulls. Alright, let's do just a subtle amount. Just get a hand. Let's do purple. Purple skulls, I think, is a good combination. Let's try just a little bit. Don't want to go overboard. Just want some hints. So kind of like tie in with the other bases. Let's do a bit of purple on the guy's area. Just a hint. And purple teeth. There we go. Maybe purple in these skulls too. I'm just going crazy. Playing around. Just a small hint of purple. Nothing big. Okay, let's do some orange, because orange is like a nice subtle color. So this stuff is super strong. So let's try and thin it out a bit more before I ruin one of these skulls. Though yellowing on a skull is kind of natural, right? So I'll make it a little overboard. Be fine with that. What else can do a bit of orange in this guy? More skull. I want to add a bit more brown to some of these rocks. It's more natural looking rock. I'm gonna, because I think it's a little too monotone by everything else. Okay, let's add some of this flush wash. Just in some areas, like little patches of. Because most of the rock is made of different materials. It has layers or pockets of certain minerals that are trapped inside of it. So I also want to go back and highlight some of this rock again a bit. It's a little too blue. So when you saturate or desaturate it a bit, some highlighting. I want to have some more tones in there. I mean, This is a bit overboard for a base. Like, you really wouldn't need to do this for, like, if you're doing an army. But since I'm doing this for my web store, I'm gonna try to make these guys as nice looking as possible. I'm almost doing a lot of experimentation, so it's not my usual style. Sometimes it's just fun to experiment. See what you can get away with. I haven't ruined anything too much yet, so nothing beyond fixing. So still doing okay. Let's see. I might add a bit of green to some of these bases now. Yeah, let's add some. Let's try that. You're the driest one, so let's just add a bit of turquoise. Just make it a little more interesting. Well, it's too monotone, it's just kind of boring. And you don't have to be like heavy-handed with it, just a little bit in the cracks and the crevices. I might be going a little too soft from this right here, just because when I highlight again, I might lose a lot of this saturation. Might as well go back and do it again. Whatever, I'm just experimenting, so if I take a little longer than normal, because I have to go backtrack a bit, that's totally fine. Really no need to be precise in that kind of stuff. It's just a wash. You're just doing a very thin amount, so you don't need to be really precise about it. Okay. So I think you guys double check all these bases before I change out my palette. So maybe we want to add a bit more colors in some areas before I go back and use these grays again to desaturate some of these things. Actually, let's. I wanted to do this. Here we go. I wanted to get a little bit of fleshiness to where the eyes are going to be. So I'm going to make them a little more red. And we can make it look a little more disturbing. Just right where the eyes are going to be. Hopefully I'm not ruining it too much, but okay. Eyes, also his eyes. Just a little bit of red ink. Just the crevices. I really should try using different color too for some of these things. Like change it up red or purples, but I think this will be fine. I don't want to make it too busy. What else is eyes? I think that's it. Like 2 limit eyes. Okay, so maybe I'll make these little spikes busting out of the rock a little more fleshy, more sore. There's that one, and there's this one right here. I already give this kind of yellow look, so I'm going to do just a tiny bit of red around the actual opening. Then I'll make these protrusion spikes like a dark color. Dark browns, grayish thing. Okay, let's try that. So this one's covered in ink. I'm just gonna replace it, throw it away, get a new one out. Oops. Paint overboard. Okay, let's go back. So let's start with that very neutral gray color I'm using with just using a black and white. Okay. So do very small layers just to highlight it again and get rid of the top layer of saturation. And see if that does anything. So right now it's a little too vibrant. So let's just see. I don't want to get rid of all the saturation, so I'm going to do very thin layers and build it up again. It might be a slow process, so I don't go overboard, but it's too dark. I gotta make it lighter. Okay, let's start with you. You're a small guy. A very small amount of. Try and. Okay, let's do it on screen. How about that? And then the white kind of removes the saturation because white has no saturation to it. It's not a hue, it's a monotone color. So it's very neutral. So and do very small layers step by step and just come back and do so I don't go overboard in one. Don't want to overdo it in the first layer, so I'm just going to do tiny amounts of tiny thin layers of white, basically. I'm actually not liking it now. It's getting rid of some of the saturation, but not all of it. I'm also going to pick out some like the really harsh edges with like a white, like little cracks and stuff like that. First I'll go back in with a black ink and make the black crevices very dark. Because I bet you some of this very thin white's going to go into the crevices and just not be good, but it's fine. We'll fix it with some black ink. I'm actually liking this. It's toning down and kind of blending the paints, the inks together. Nice. Yeah. It's not too shabby. I mean, it's not perfect. It's the first time doing this, so I'm pleased with the results. base like a white, a little bit of gray mixed in, just highlighting it again. Bringing more depth into them, just raising up the highlights, brightening it. So the ink kind of like darkened some places, especially when I was being a little too enthusiastic with the inks, right? So this kind of brings it all together. Okay. No, this guy's no fleshy bits. So we can fix this guy. This guy was a little too out there, this guy. I don't have too much paint in the brush because you're doing so thin it will pool very easily, so I'm very careful. That's why I'm doing it very thin layers at a time. I have to go back and do it because I don't want to actually disturb my very thin paint drying. It'd be hard to fix it and lose some chunky bits, which is not what you want. The hard edges of disturbed paint. Don't want that. I just want to pick out some of these eyelids a bit more. I think I'll take a better brush for that. This brush is a little too fat. Also, the tip is not very good, so this is more just for like base highlighting. Good for just big chunky things like this. Okay. Best medium in the world is your saliva. Just be careful with the paints you're using though. I'm using private press paints, which are quite good. Very non-toxic. I recommend them for brush licking and stuff. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. On what kind of paints I'm using or my methods and stuff. Okay, I'll stop there. I think it turned out much better now. It still leaves like the underlayer of the colors, but it tones them down, brings it all up, blends it together. Oh my goodness, I might even give it some speckling actually. Depending how I feel. A bit of a fruit with this guy. Now I think about it. Very loopy, this one. Okay. And always make sure you don't leave any hard edges. Or bubbles. Bubbles are also very bad too. I'm going to stop before I start hitting some drying patches which I don't want to touch. So this. Okay. Now you're getting there. Oh. Okay. blazing orange is so vibrant. I like it, but it may not be the best ink for this job. Looking much better though. Quite liking this. Still retaining the base color, but it's toning it down a lot. Give it a natural like highlight, like a little bit of shininess that rock has. Which is exactly what I want. Okay. Next step is do it again. Except maybe I'm gonna go a little thicker this time on some areas. Because that was more of just a general whole area, and then this is more of like picking up the raised areas and give it more of a silhouette. And follow geometry of the piece. And then maybe the next step is the speckling. Or I might even actually go and use a sponge and give it some randomness. How's that looking? Okay. Sponge wouldn't be good for something like this. It's more good for like big fat areas. Nothing like deep like this is not be that great. I'll have to speckle it manually. But for like this part, this is great. As long as I watch out about the top of the teeth, because the teeth I don't really want to touch. They're basically done. Exaggerate some of the lip detail. I wonder how well this is gonna be to take pictures of this on the camera. They probably do a lot of photo editing to get the color saturations proper. Being lazy and just doing straight white. Just a very thin amount. I'm quite liking this. I'm impressed with myself. I did not expect it to work this nicely. But I always have lots of chances to ruin this, so maybe me just screaming at the model soon after I've overworked it. Sometimes you just do too much stuff and it starts looking bad. The more you do to it, just the worse it gets. Okay. So. Yeah, I think next step is speckling after this. I'll do a lot of good. If I can do it properly. I also need to find a sponge that it's not dusty. I have that problem. Leaving my sponges out and then it collects dust. It might be a little too bright actually, that. Well, we'll figure it out. I almost want to brighten up the rock too a bit, desaturated it too. So let's see. Get a weird line of ink right here. It's weird. I didn't do a good job when I did that red ink. Maybe I add a little more gray. It's a little too bright. There we go. Got lazy. Yeah, don't get lazy. Start ruining things. A little bit of dust right there, unfortunately. Oh. Yeah, I used a different color for that one, so I'm not going to use this gray. I used a cream for that one. Don't want to ruin that. I'll go back and fix up the skulls too a bit. So, I'll get another step. I gotta go back to the finer tip brush and do the eyelids better. The lids actually have detail. Can't do it with this fat brush. I'm actually kind of liking this one now. I didn't like it at the first glance, but it's growing on me like a tumor. Okay. Okay. Looking a little less Dr. Seussy now, because I've toned down all the colors. It still has like the deeper areas more saturated, which I'm liking a lot. This neon blazing orange right here is a little too strong still. Okay, let's do some, let's try and find a sponge. Knock all the dust off of it. And then break off a piece. Just like a normal sponge that a lot of the models come with the backing to stop it from getting beat up during shipping, so just rip off a little triangle. Now let's get some more gray out. You don't want it too thin though. My brush was a little too watery there, so let's thicken it up. There we go. That should be good. It's all about trial and error in this part. So let's start with the side piece here. Let's try like this. That's a little too thick. Let's try it. Let's try it thinner. Get some saliva in there. Definitely giving it a texture, but I'm not sure if I like it. I like the smoothness before, but let's try it on you. I want a very subtle texture, a little roughness. I think that's better. Okay. Let's try that. It's okay, it's not great. I'm not 100% sure what's adding to the model though, but it needs a bit of something else, so I'm just trying it out. If you have any questions about sponging or painting or inks, just let me know. Happy to answer any questions. Using a bit of my saliva to thin it out so it doesn't have such a solid texture under these thin layers. Do a bit thicker on the top just because it's supposed to be a bit. Oh, somehow got some darker gray in there. Don't do that. I don't know how I got the dark gray in there. It must have been from that section. I'm trying to add a subtle texture to it. I mean, if you're doing like tabletop stuff, I mean like armies, I wouldn't recommend this. Unless you gotta, it takes a while. It's just a very subtle effect. You go for the stronger effect. Make it more worthwhile, but it's just for make it look extra fancy for the web store, really. Okay. Oh, it's a little too watery. Let's get some. Okay. Maybe a dried effect. It breaks out a bit more. It's less smooth. Alright, so let's... I think that's okay. It's not great, but it's fine. So what I'm going to do now is take a black ink and just pick out all the cracks. Because I don't really want the cracks to be colorful. So let's just get an armor wash, which is a nice black. Some inks out right now. That's fine. Here we go. Get armor wash, get a better brush with a better tip, and start going to town on those cracks. And first of all, make sure your brushes are clean. So I won't be touching these brushes for a while, so give them a good rinse. I don't need a perfect tip. I just need to find a brush with a decent. This is a number 2 size, so it should be fine. Let's find some cracks. Excuse me, let me look it up. And then I think a little bit of overpainting, which I'm not going to worry too much about, because I'm going to go back with like a white and highlight some of these cracks as well. Or gray, I guess, in this case. Very light gray I'm going to highlight. Inks does a good job of filling in those cracks. Okay. But honestly, like a base like this, if you're doing full armies, just I'd basically just like dry brush it. Make like stone, and then pick out like the teeth and the skulls a bit, and that's about it. Because if you're doing massive armies, it's way too much time to do. Spend, what am I on, 3-4 hours spending on these bases currently? That's a lot of time for just bases. Unless you're doing a small kill team. like how this guy turned out. Very demon-y. Don't want too deep, dark. The cracks. Okay. Use my finger to wipe away any extra paint. I've overpainted with my ink. And also the teeth. Give them a bit more dark border. So when I do the white over top, I don't need to go back and fool around with that. Okay. One more guy's crack right here. Lots of cracks. And then I'm going to do a kind of a black border around all the fingers too. I probably should have done that for all the eyes too. I might have to go back and black out the little sections of eyes. Okay. It's one of the lots of little thingies. I'm just doing this now so it's easier when I actually start working on the extra little details like the hands. do the guy's eyes too. His eye socket has multiple little eyes. Extra creepy. His eye socket only has 2 eyes, so not as creepy as the other one, but still kind of creepy. Imagine having 2 eyes in your one socket. Ugh. Let's go back in this one and pick out the eyes as well before I forget. Okay, who else? I think that's it for that. All right. Overpaint that, it's fine. Hopefully it'll define those cracks better with them highlighted. It's a little hard sometimes to get the ink to go where you want it to. Okay. Make sure I don't overpaint in the shadow areas. Or pool a little weird ink. Okay. I'm kind of over-exaggerating these cracks. It's probably a little too dark, these little cracks. Might just tone it down when I do the highlighting. Okay. A little tentacle coming out of this one. Some of them are human hands, some of them are not. For example, this one right here has got like 3 fingers and big talons on its end of its digits. Definitely not human. It's like souls busting out of the earth, the twisted earth. One of my favorite pieces. Hard to see until it's actually finished, though. What it really looks like. when I'm also doing the highlighting on the cracks, I'm gonna do some stippling on the very edges of the rock. Some extreme highlighting. Cause like the way I did with the foam was kind of good. Give the very general, unfocused kind of roughness, but I want to just give it some bit more on the very edges, most raised areas, to complete the illusion. You know, in between the teeth, this black border, and then just brush off any overpaint. I'm a little worried I might be doing these cracks a little too dark, but hopefully I can fix it a little bit when I do the highlighting. Sometimes just over-exaggerate. I mean, over-exaggeration is good to a point. It's a little too dark, it might just make it look messy. Break the illusion. So some parts have to fix, I think. Overpaint. Like ghost music, it feels like. Getting haunted or something. Or maybe alien abduction music. Oh, no, these cracks are actually painted on the model. I'm just using a black ink called Armor Wash by P3 to basically make them more evident. For something like rock cracks, I definitely don't want to add your own with a paintbrush. I definitely only paint them on or exaggerate them if there's actually physical detailed cracks in them. Because otherwise, to make your rock more interesting, if there's no cracks painted on, because a lot of rock has different minerals and stuff like that, so it comes in lines, streaks of it and stuff like that, or other kind of patterns. So you can just find something you like and do that. Many different types of rocks. This is like a demon world, so I don't know what kind of rocks these actually are. I'm just kind of making something that's a little twisty. Unearthly. How's it going, K1 Runu? Sorry. K1 Runu. How's your, I guess, afternoon going? Exaggerate those teeth a bit more. Not bad. Just chillaxing here, listening to some tunes and painting some bases. Oh, thank you. That was a lock and load piece for painting competition. That was a fun one. That was kind of experiment on lighting effects and doing like a, because I sculpted that base thing, right? Like the plinth and all the detail around it. So it's just fun doing the whole thing. A lot of things I learned in that. There we go. All right. Let's go back and do some picking out some cracks. I'll use a better brush though. This brush is not the greatest. Let's try this brush. So I'm just gonna see if I can define these cracks a bit more and maybe tone down a bit of the deeper ones I don't like. This is way too watery, this paint. I'm gonna have to get some more paint from the pot. Let's see. Oh, not too bad now. Yeah, I did that one as well. That was for Gen Con a couple years ago. Yeah, I like doing those kind of fur textures. Are fun to do. They're not that hard, but they're just a little time consuming. That's actually not too bad. I don't like to do like a solid line when I'm doing cracks. I like to do like little specks and spots because cracks never perfectly flat, right? So exaggerate the roughness of it. And just gonna overpaint a bit some of the cracks, just to show that it's kind of like a little bit going past it, even though there's actually no crack there. I'm sure it'll be a little bit of an edge. Okay, and then this is way too dark right there, so I'm just gonna take some white paint and just do a little bit of a dab. Soften that big black spot. Alright. Did mention I'll do a bit of stippling, so I'm going to stipple in the most extreme areas. It's not too bad. And this is like really overboard for like any kind of, for most armies bases. This is just a show off what these guys can do. There we go. Yep, these are all primed white. I actually have yesterday's stream on my YouTube. You guys can check it out. You guys missed that? Okay, let's continue on. It's just Toad Painting as well, my YouTube channel. Okay. There. Like I said, just like do little specks, little rough dots on the edges of cracks. Just helps the illusion of roughness, because cracks are never that smooth. Like the light hitting off all sharp edges. I think all my models done in the last couple years have been all primed white, except for sorry, I'm lying to you. I did some Death Guard. So I primed those guys black and then airbrushed some gray onto them. I think it just take too long if I primed them white. So get in here and just do a little bit of dry brushing just to bring up some of the details there. Okay. I don't know if that's easy to see or not, but compared to like the finished crack and the unfinished crack. Also a little bit of like indents, which I'm gonna just give it a highlight too, as well as like these spikes busting through the rock. This one's almost busted through. I'm just gonna give it a well extreme highlight. Okay. Also some little bit of indents here. Cool. Well, if you want to see the first part of it, it's right there. You can maybe not watch it right now while I'm doing this part, but I'll also be posting this on YouTube as well, so if you want to watch it in order right away, it will take a few hours for the process and everything, so it won't be immediate, but I'll be doing, as soon as I'm done the stream, I'll be uploading that video, or this video really, for you, your viewing pleasure. Okay. I don't know if I want like have like something oozing out of that open thing. I don't know. Might be a little too disgusting. I mean, it's a demon world, but I also want people to like it, and not just be repulsed by them. The end result is I want people to buy these things. These are going on my web store, Raincy Hobbies. A lot of hobby supplies there. Bases, tufts, details. It's like it's not enough. I guess you can kind of think of it. This is more of the maggoty one right here. It's kind of like a guy curled up with his pet. Most people are saying, but it's more of like a organic fleshy rock. I was thinking of, like it's a demon world, right? So it's just meant to look, I don't know, unearthly. But I basically just did like a very neutral gray. And then I kind of highlighted it up from there to like almost to a white. And then I did a whole bunch of inks to get the colors. And then I went back with the gray again, and then highlighted the very edges parts, and it kind of blended all the inks together, so it looks much more natural, or unnatural. But it looked way too saturated before without the gray highlights. Yeah. It was inks and washes and mixing medium. Yeah, it looks a million times better with the gray highlights over top compared to what it was before. It was just like little Dr. Seuss, you might say, which is not what you want. You want your demon world to look threatening and alien, not fun and inviting for small children. Plus, That's a different kind of world altogether. Here I overpainted a bit. Gotta define this crack a bit more. English. I only speak English, and English is hard. Or at least trying to pronounce things is hard. Just saying basic words is hard sometimes too. They kind of. Yeah, I guess it's. I mean, it's meant to look like demon-y, right? So like, there's many takes on demons, and this one's just like some of these are like. This one here is like, I think it was more like a Dante's Inferno kind of thing. All the damned souls trying to like either escape or like capture like other people. So like there's all these little hands bursting out. And some of these are like, yeah, a little more maggoty and stuff and nurgly, but not really. There's no like rotting bits or anything like that. It's all like skulls, which skulls or whatever. Very generically evil. There's this mouth. So a little bit of a double chin, This guy's kind of fun to sculpt. It's actually his tongue. So he's got his jaw, his teeth, his tongue, and he's got a little skull hanging out right there. The skull's currently really hard to see because I haven't painted them yet, but once I get to that part, it'll look much better. Just do a fast stipple. Thanks. It's yeah, I want them to like, because they're demons, right? They don't have dental care. They have like they're not human. They're like whatever you want them to be. So like multiple rows of teeth, crooked teeth, broken teeth, whatever, right? Anything not quite human, because like humans don't human teeth are not very special, right? They're just like mundane. So I'm saying it's a little unearthly. A little creepy. Something that's, you can recognize, but it's not quite right. Makes it a little extra creepy. I wanted to make sure these eyes are a little fold, I thought. Also, some of these eyes right here have like, let's see, yeah, this one has multiple eyeballs inside the socket itself. Something creepy like that. Where was the eyelid I was going painting? Oh, here we go. It's gonna take a while, isn't it? Here he's got some teeth like coming out of this little creepy thing and the tongue sticking out. Kind of like a worm. I don't know what kind of color I'm gonna make the tongue. I'm gonna make it fleshy, I'm gonna make it gray. Probably make it fleshy though. These are bases. So like, here's a model. I can put a 40K model in this, right? Yeah, I can. Yeah. So okay, here's an example of what they should. So you basically just like plop them on like that. Now you've got it's kind of space marine or whatever. Where's okay? Let's see now. I have here's a Nurgle guy actually. Where's this base? And he can just like plop on like this, like that, stuff like that. So these are meant for like they got 25s and 32s, so like any kind of games those could use that kind of base. So like Warhammer and 32. Those Infinity also uses those kinds of base sizes too and stuff like that. It's a very standard base size. So and then the 25s. The 25. So here's a Chaos Cultist. Just plops right on. I mean, it's a resin base, so you have to pin them on, but it fits just fine. But so these guys, I haven't mentioned this yet. So these guys are actually the heroic versions of these Demon World bases. So these things are like massive. These things are very tall, very ornate. I've got here we go. Here's a standard one we're gonna use. So these are not the cast version yet. These are just the masters. So like, as you can see, these things are much smaller. You know, still quite ornate and stuff like that. Also skulls, but they're not like too complex. And they're like half the size or less. So we're good for like troopers and stuff like that. So, you know, these guys are good for like champions, heroes, whatever, commanders, rank and file troops. But I'll be doing these next week, I think. So I'm just doing the very fancy ones currently. Okay. Where was I? Alright. I left my brush in the water. Don't do that. Okay. I was working over somewhere. I was over here. Okay. This guy has a lot of little eyeballs, so make sure each individual one's picked out. Can't miss anything, especially when I'm gonna put these on the web store, so that'll look perfect. Are you working on any projects right now, Kiranu? Can't pronounce your name properly. Sorry if I'm butchering it. Cool. Circle's a cool looking army. I love their beasts. I love the Satar models. They're awesome. I was actually going to start a Circle army, but with the Infernals coming out, I might be switching over to them depending on the models. They look pretty good though, the models currently. So, seems like a sure bet I'll be playing some Infernals soon. Okay. I've never played Necromunda. It looks cool though. It's a little skirmish game. You can enhance your guys and stuff. That's good. I always, my motivation, I used to play Crix, and so I always get motivation from paint the models when like they did something great. So I had one game where I had like a bile, this is old edition, so my Biothrall like killed an entire unit of like men off like whatever guys, and it was just beautiful. And so I painted up that unit that night after a little massacre. Biothralls used to be like so brutal back in the day, but now they're much toned down. Yeah. Each material has its own kind of qualities, like because rock is kind of shiny and kind of dull in some areas, and how the light hits and stuff like that. And same with the wood and the textures. You get a good blend of between realistic and unrealistic, and you know, to make it look nice, right? Because what's it called again? I have one term for it again. Basically simplify the details. But you can't do it too simplified, right? And also exaggerating some things, like wood grain. You never want to exaggerate, otherwise it looks like a muddy mess. Alright. Who's supposed to be rather easy? Which guys? Like the normal circle troopers, or like? Oh, the bearded ones. Well, everybody's different, right? So some people find certain things easy, some other people think some things are hard. So it all depends on your stance on certain things. Like, do you have a particular example of what's supposed to be easy, but it's actually hard for you? I think after this step, I'm gonna start working on some skulls. trying to make all the skulls the same color because it's easier that way. Oh yes, well, stone is as complex or as easy as you want it to be. Like, this is all stone and I'm kind of making a lot of work for myself, as you can see. But you can just, like, you know, do a gray, then do a dry brush white and be done. A lot of people take that step. Or you can go and try and make it more interesting and like add dirt and moss and stuff like that. Make it more interesting. Because you're a circle, right? So you get like, it's all natural forest, basically textures and environments, and then you also got like magical glows and stuff like that. Do you mix paints at all? Because I like to mix paints a lot, and you can get pretty far with just mixing a few paints to make things look different. Because I can take one color and just add a different different highlight to it. So like I'll take a brown and add a white to it, and then I can also take the same brown and add like a yellow to it to highlight instead of the white, and it'll look completely different. And it really helps, even with a small selection of paints. How's that looking? A little speckly? It's the last one, I think, that's got this kind of stone. So we're working on the skulls soon. It's not easy to see how it would work, how the stone would work, or like how like different effects would play on the stone, like doing moss or dirt or rust or whatever. Yes, trial and error is pretty much how I do everything. These bases are all trial and error because this is the first time I've done like ink wash and transitions like this for entirety to make it look like, you know, unnatural and warpy and twisty, demony. So I think it worked okay though. But there's nothing wrong with trial and error. I prefer to try to learn by watching other people, because I remember it easier this way. Because you add your own little steps into it, add some variety and make it unique and make it your own. I think those cracks are a little too dark and black. Oh well. It'll be fine. Okay, let's do some skulls. So I'm going to use more a white base for this. Oh, window a little warm. Okay. So it's a more white base, and I'm just gonna do a solid coat on any and all skulls. Actually, even teeth too, I'm gonna do. So this guy's got a lot of skulls. probably do a little bit of like a weird dry brush over top of the skulls with like a white, just to pick out some of the details and give it some more depth. The skull is much easier to see now that they're not pure white. Kind of like the glowing rocks looked like before, didn't they? What else had skulls? Actually, very few skulls in these ones. The non-heroic ones probably have a lot more skulls. I've sculpted a lot of skulls for these guys. These guys have a lot of teeth, though. I might be lazy and just paint his teeth the same colors as the skulls. Why not? As long as it looks good, right? Any other teeth? Oh, that's right here. Okay. Lots of teeth in this one. A little gaping maw right here. There's no other teeth anywhere else. Big old skull here. Is there any skulls in this one? There's actually no skulls in this one. Okay. So let's just separate the skulls and teeth ones from each other. Okay, so these are the ones that I want. Go back and do a bit of another coat. Just to get a solid base coat, because it's very important. 2 thin coats, like some people say. Except the second coat normally doesn't be that bad. Just more in the raised areas you gotta do it. Alright. Oh. This guy's coming together. I also gotta pick out his little eyes. He's got eyes inside the rocks, so he's like 5 or 6 little eyes. Okay. I guess while that's drying, I might do some of the hands. The ghost hands. Yeah, I think there's only these 3 that have hands popping out. Okay. So I want them to look like spirit hands, I guess. So I'm gonna make them look not fleshy, I guess. I don't know. What's a good color for them? Maybe white? I don't know. So I don't want to make them too, because the base itself is very, very colorful with all the different hues popping around it, so I don't know what to do with that. That's interesting. I don't know. Could go. You guys have any ideas? Any suggestions for the hands? There's so many hands in this one. Should I make them all the same color, make them all different, make them pure white like they're like spirits? Or make them fleshy, or... should I do... So like zombie flesh, you're thinking? It's like basically the dead coming to life. Maybe. I was thinking... because, let's see now, these 3 bases. I do have a zombie flesh, it's called Thrall Flesh. It's a peachy color. And do a bit of purple. I don't want them to be complex, I just want them to be like very simple, kind of like hands, because like, the bases are selfless really complex, and the hands are add to it. But the zombie flesh might be interesting, or like not living, not pink, not like, you know, warm and still. It's supposed to be like spirits, like the souls trying to escape from like the demon world, or trying to capture, or so. Yeah. So I wasn't really going for like a physical thing, more of like a spirit, like the damned souls trying to take other people, get some company in the depths of hell or whatever they are. And okay, I'm gonna base coat them with white, and then I'm gonna go from there. Let's find a nice clean spot. Maybe. I'll get an idea once I've done this, so you can make a nice consistent base to work on. Because they're a little too splotty with all the other paint splattered on them. I'll probably just use like a wash or something to shade them. I've got like a purpley burgundy color I could probably use. Probably work not bad with like the Thrall Flesh, zombie flesh. Let's see. But I need to do a nice solid coat first. Can't forget the fingers coming out of this guy's eye. Well, hands of this guy. Alright. Yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try like the Thrall Flesh with shaded with some purple. Keep saying green base. Not a true purple, it's more of a burgundy, but it's close enough. Yeah, I try to make them a little disturbing, not too much. There's no like, it's not like Kingdom Death where they have like hands coming out of orifices like the Phoenix has 3 or 4 hands coming out of its cloaca at its end. That is highly disturbing. Okay. I think the skulls are dry now, so okay, I'm gonna just we're gonna do a separate thing now. So I'm gonna get a new piece of paper for my palette. It's very tiny. I did a terrible job cutting this one. But that's fine. So while it's drying, let's do the skulls. Skulls are gonna be Caspian flesh. And I'm going to just thicken it up a bit with some mixing medium, so it pools a little easier. Okay. I like to use terrible old brushes for my washes, so I don't care if I ruin a wash like this. So it thickens it up, and so it pools differently than normal. And just glob it on. It does make the pigment look a little milky, but it actually doesn't dry like that, so it won't retain any of the milkiness. It'll just retain the saturation of the wash. So don't be scared. You think you've ruined something. If you haven't tried mixing mediums, definitely try it. Like, I don't really use it that much for like doing paints, but like for inks and washes, I love it. Makes doing these 6 skulls here a breeze. Just make sure you go back over them and just make sure that it doesn't pool funny. So just make sure it pools where you want it to be. But the problem is the mixing medium kind of thickens it up. So if you do too many layers, it might destroy some detail. So just be careful of that. Just try and do one coat with it. Yeah, fix all the teeth and all the little scratches I did on this. Okay. Mr. Yelly Skull here. Fix all the teeth nice and easy. Okay. The purpose of the mixing medium or the purpose of the wash? Sorry. Okay, so that takes a while to dry, unfortunately, mixing medium. So I'm adding a mixing medium to my Caspian flesh wash, and so it thickens it up, and so I can show you what the wash looks like normally, right? I'll put on like a white spot for you. It kind of pools, it's very runny and thin, and it doesn't really pool like that much. It really goes into crevices very easily. So you see, like it doesn't really go anywhere else besides the crevices. But with the mixing medium, it kind of thickens it up, and then when it cures, it retains that kind of like gradient. So it's not like a silver bullet for like doing like a very fine, soft wash, but it's great for the first initial one. I have to go back and do a darker wash afterwards, but it's good for the first initial one. Alright, so let's do the hands now. Hands are going to be, like I said, zombie flesh. Thrall flesh. Here we go. some store was closing down and they had like 10 of these pots for sale, and I bought them all, so I have quite an abundance of this color. I almost said flavor for a second. So, yes. My girlfriend pointed out it's eye flavor. Alright, so is it zombie flesh or thrall flesh? It's a bit of a creamy, greeny kind of color. And I might do a little bit of a highlight, like a dry brush with a white or something, and then do a wash over it. But this is a private press color, and I find it to have great coverage with the first layer. I highly recommend these colors. I highly recommend P3 colors, paints. Also, the fact that they're non-toxic, so I'm a brush licker, so I do get the paint in my mouth a lot, so it kind of helps with that. Don't want to permanently damage your insides. Yeah. So the hands look much more visible now with a nice solid coat of them. I gotta say, hands are much more complex to sculpt than skulls. This is fun to sculpt, but just kind of challenging. The proportions of a hand are kind of delicate. Gotta make sure it's not too thin. Make sure the fingers are long enough. Of course, some of these are non-human, so I didn't make everyone to like proper proportions. Just playing around, but trying to make most of them like kind of human. So people. Okay. Is that? Yeah, that's it. Alright, so let's do a little bit of a highlight. I'm going to take a bit of Moro white, or Manoth white base, mix it with that Thrall flesh, and then it's almost the same color, or heat, or I guess brightness. So I'm going to brighten it even more and desaturate a bit with Moro white. So I want to give it like the you're talking about the a little thin coat of white just to make sure the base coat pops out. I think that's what you're talking about. Sorry. Okay. So let's do just a very thin. Might need to be brighter. Yeah, I need to be brighter. Not bright enough. Oh yeah, the black edge, just to get a little more depth. Yes. I did it now instead of after, so it's so I don't ruin the skin. Try and give it some kind of border. Alright, just a little bit like this, just to pick out some of the details. I do like to give things like a border, like a hard border. It kind of gives it a kind of cartoony look. A lot of cartoons have like the hard edge border, but it really helps define things, make things less busy or muddy looking. I mean, it's not really realistic, but there's no real models that are actually realistic. They're all just small miniatures. Alright. Of course, I think I did a little overboard in some of these, the edges. It's a little too thick. So I might have to go back and try and fix that somehow. But that's for probably another day at this point. Okay. I'm just gonna try to make the raised parts pop out a bit more. It's a little bit like a wet dry brush, you might say. Okay. So this is, the skulls are still drying, so I'll still work on these hands a bit more. So I'm going to use that purpley color, sanguine base. I'm going to mix it with the thrall flesh, so it's not too much of a difference. And then I'm going to add some mixing medium to it so it thins it out. Kind of turn it into a little bit of a wash at this point. And I'm also going to add some more water, make it even thinner. I'm going to test this out on one of these hands. Let's try it. Let's do a thinner coat. Let's try it here. I'm just going to go a bit of a finger. A bit of a finger wash. It's not too bad. I kind of like how it turned out. Use my finger to like kind of remove the topmost paint. It's kind of like a reverse dry brush. I like how it's turned out. I'll probably need to work on it a bit more, but it gives it the depth that I like. Exaggerates the natural detail that I sculpted on these things. And it's very quick, which is important. So, applying a little bit of thinned paint, and then just removing it with my pinky. Mixing medium thins out the paint, also gives you more time to play with it too. So as you apply to more area, you can start removing it with your finger. Just be careful because the paint will build up on your pinky. It's removing wet paint, so you might just start doing unforeseen things, so just be cautious of that. Might start smearing it onto other parts of the model, which is not cool. I like that a lot. Very little effort. Relying on the natural detail. Though it's hard to do it on like recessed areas like that. To go back over and pick up the detail with the brush. Okay. That's not too bad. Oh, that was a little too thick or something. Didn't turn out great, but whatever. Let's try another coat. Yeah, it's okay. Not perfect, but whatever. I'll have to go back and fix that, maybe. Depending on how I feel. Thanks. This is my fast and easy method. A little finessey, I guess, but it's just... It's very fast. And there you go. Those are basically done. I gotta pick out some more of the detail with just do some highlighting, but that's about it. Kind of zombie-ish, kind of not really living. I don't know if this is the colors you were thinking of, but that's what I thought of when you said zombie flesh. Okay, let's go back and work on those skulls and teeth and stuff. Not as far as I thought it'd be, but I want to make sure these bases are nice and perfect. So I might actually do another session today later to finish them up. I don't know what time. I'll have to just post on my social media. But I'm going to work on the skulls more, and then I'm probably going to do a raid, I think, somewhere. And I'll probably come back later tonight, maybe in like 3 or 4 hours I'll come back and do another hour or 2 session. So I want you guys done today, or at least most of it. Be a little bit of picking out how to do offline. Just a lot of little tedious things, but basically to finish up all the flesh later tonight. And the tongues and stuff like that. Okay, let's do some skulls some more. So let's do a black ink. Where is it? Okay. I'm gonna mix my black ink with a calcite flesh. Where's my black ink? So this is black ink. All right, have a good one, Kirinu. And calcite. So this is more of a reddish brown. Thanks for watching, Kirinu. And then kind of dark, very saturated. I'm also gonna have to mix a medium. And I'm gonna just mix it around. And then I'm just gonna apply it to more recessed areas and remove maybe a bit more black. Whatever. It'll be fine. So once the skulls are all dried up, I'll have to go back and pick out some of these things with like a white. Just the most extreme parts, like a little bit of teeth, a little bit of the brow, cracks too. Just little things like that. Small, but it'll definitely help it out a lot. Don't want too much of this darker brown. There's more only in the recesses. So I could crack a bit. I don't want it pooling too much. I might have made it pool a little too much here, yeah. So be careful when it pools. Alright. Let's see. I also do the eyes too. I forgot about that. I'll be doing that later tonight, I think. Okay. I might just use actually this very thin wash and just help define the edges again. There we go. Let's try it on these hands. I don't like the super crisp border, black border. I'm gonna try and soften it a bit with this brown wash. Nah, I'll have to do something else. It's working a little bit in some areas, but not everywhere. Yeah, after this I'm gonna raid somebody. And I don't know who we picked yet, but we'll find somebody to raid. Okay, I think that's all the parts that I want washed. So yeah, we'll do all the eyes and the flesh parts and some little details later tonight. So let's see now. Okay, we're not gonna raid anybody actually, so. Alright. Okay. Well, thank you for watching. And hopefully see you guys again later tonight. If not, our next stream will be on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Alright. Have a good one.